Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TJ, the Big Sports Guy. Today, we are going to talk about the top 3 reasons why sports cards and the hobby that we all love will never die. Okay, the number 1 reason why sports cards and this hobby will never die is because of the love of sports that everyone in this country has. Anything from sports betting or going to sporting events in person. If you've ever gotten the opportunity to go to a live sporting event and see some of the best athletes in the world do what they're good at up close to in person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, on top of that, if you've ever had the opportunity to meet one of your favorite players, to maybe get your picture taken or get an autograph in person, it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be a small child all the way up to the oldest adult that's at the event. You know that feeling when you get to meet someone who you've always looked up to, who has done an amazing job throughout their entire career at performing at a sport that you love and maybe played growing up. That's one of the best feelings in the world. And going to those sporting events and getting the opportunities like that brings us as regular people closer to the game. And that's what we all love. We just want to be there. We want to be a part of the event, and we want to be a part of the game that was played by some of our favorite players. And so I think when it comes back to sports cards, when we look at the game-used memorabilia types of cards or the hand-signed autographed cards, that's why we enjoy those things so much. It's like we're there and we're a part of the event, and it makes us so happy to just have a little piece of that moment in history. It could be from one of the biggest events like a national championship or a Super Bowl or World Series where your team that you have waited so long for has finally gotten there. Or maybe it's just a regular season or even a preseason event that you were finally able to save up enough money to be able to attend, to see your favorite players play in person or your hometown team. It doesn't matter. We just want to be there and we want to see it up close and we want to be a part of that. And I think as long as we still have that, as long as we still have sports, there is no way that the true people in this hobby, the true collectors, are ever going to let this hobby die, and that is reason number 1 that sports cards are not going anywhere. All right, reason number 2 that sports cards are not going away. Sports card shows and sports card sales on platforms like eBay, for example, or any other platforms that you look at online, have maintained a pretty high volume of sales over the last several months, when a lot of people thought that the sports card market was going to severely decline or that the hobby was dead, as some people put it. But the volumes of cards that have still been purchased has been relatively high compared to where we were, 2 and 3 years ago when things were really in a full boom, if you will. Sure, sales prices have come down. Individual card prices have declined to a more realistic number, in my opinion. But the volume, the number of cards that are actually still exchanging hands between collectors is still at a pretty high number. Now, I personally have not been listing as many cards on eBay just because I've been busy with some other things. But when I do decide to list some cards on eBay, I have not noticed any differences in the amount of things that I'm selling and the types of things that are selling. Now, a lot of times, I don't really care so much what I'm going to be receiving as far as a dollar amount for the items. I'm just trying to move things that I'm not tied to personally. So I will start a lot of my listings cheaper. I'll start them at 99 cents and run them for a week. That may have something to do with it and the reason why they sell. I'm not really looking at big differences between whether a card is still selling for $8 or $5. But some of those $20, $30, $40 cards, they're obviously always going to sell. There are people always looking for those types of things. But yeah, anytime that I've listed on eBay over the last couple of months, they've still continued to sell just like they were midway through last year and even toward the end of last year, which I think is a really good sign. I know a lot of people have now returned to the office. They're back to their normal lives after the lockdown and COVID and all that. I mean, it was a pretty long period there where people were looking for things to do. And so I think that was one thing that really ramped up the sports card hobby. People were going into their attics. They were cleaning things out. They were finding sports cards, and it kind of revived this hobby for a lot of those people. But now that they're back to their normal lives, I think that they have stayed engaged with the hobby, which is another really good thing. Even though people are resuming their normal lives again, they're still continuing to communicate with other collectors. They're buying, selling, and trading. They're still going to sports card shows. They're listing cards on Facebook groups, on eBay, other platforms like MySlabs and a few others. So I think that's a really, really positive sign for the hobby that people have continued to stick with this, even though they're maybe back to the office. Okay, that's the second reason why I know that the sports card hobby is alive and well. And I want to take this time to continue right into reason number 3, and the most important reason that I can think of for why this hobby is never going to die. Some of you may already know this, but I do think it is very important that we officially take the time to announce it, and that is true collectors have finally taken back the hobby. I think this is so amazing and so important for the sports card hobby in general, that a lot of the people that came into this hobby with nothing but money on their mind have finally found their way out of the hobby. They are starting to move on to their next big thing and other things that they can flip for a quick profit. That is going to be so vitally important for the sports card hobby to be successful again, because it's turning over the reins of the hobby back to the people who truly care about it and want to advance the hobby for good and not for the wrong reasons. We saw far too many people coming in and starting new grading companies and flipping products and breaking stuff open and just doing all of these things that were motivated only by one thing, which is money and greed. And that was it. And it is so nice to see some of those people finally leave the hobby so that we can get back to collecting and communicating with each other and helping each other out. And I think that it's so nice now that people like myself who have continued to create content and go to sports card shows and connect with collectors like yourselves on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, we can now feel comfortable sharing tips and tricks and secrets with each other about the sports card hobby without those things having to be exploited for a profit. And that is amazing for all of us. It is going to create such a nice environment for the people that actually want to collect certain players or certain teams and build their collections. And maybe you want to focus more on autographs or game used memorabilia or things like that, and you no longer have to way overpay because of all the greedy people in the hobby that are holding on to those cards and making sure that you can't buy them for what they're actually probably worth. For the last couple of years, you have had to overpay significantly for those types of things, and I think we're back to a place now where you really don't have to do that. A lot more true collectors can come back into the hobby and access really cool pieces at their price point, which may not be as high as some of those people who are spending thousands of dollars all the time. So I think we're getting into a really good position. One thing that I do hope that comes about from this is that wax prices will slowly start to decline when new products come out. We have seen some products release in the hobby space for only $200 to $300 that were maybe coming out for $400, $500, $600 over the last couple of years when they dropped. There are still some products out there, like I'm going to use Spectra Football as an example, that I think are way overpriced, $850 per box, and we still saw some quality issues from Panini where they weren't even putting the correct patch from the right team into the card. There's no way I'm ever going to spend $850 for a box when they can't even do that. So I am hoping to continue to see those wax prices come down, but overall I think this is a great thing for the hobby. A lot of those people have left. It's back to a lot more true collectors, and that is wonderful to see. In addition to this, I can't speak for anyone but myself, but even though the hobby has declined or maybe has slowed down quite a bit, I have still continued to grow and to connect with even more people than ever. This channel is now up to about 1,050 subscribers. It had taken me a very long time to get to 1,000, so thank you to everyone that has checked out the channel so far. I have also connected with a lot of people recently on Facebook and Instagram. Please get over there and check out those two pages of mine. They are both Big Sports Guy with 3 I's in big. I am going to pop up some information here at the end of the video where if you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to the channel and you can check out other videos as well. Hoping to do more content like this coming up this year. If you want, drop a comment below and give me your contact information for either Instagram or Facebook, and I'll go ahead and add you if you can't find me or something like that. But I really appreciate everyone that has checked out this channel, and I will catch you next time.